The most brilliant minds, the top performers, always have the same skill. They could take something complicated and make it clear. The good news is it's completely learnable, and I'm going to tell you exactly how to master executive presence. For 20 years, I sat in the rooms where careers actually get decided. Who got promoted, who gets the budget, and who gets quietly passed over. It's always the same mistake I see professionals making. So in the next few minutes, I'll show you the 3 things. What this skill actually is, and why it beats every gravitas tip you've ever been given. The exact formula for giving clarity so you sound senior in seconds. And the one question that makes you the most senior voice in the room, even on a subject you know less about than anyone else. So part 1, what clarity actually is. First, what this skill actually is. We're talking about clarity. Clarity is taking something tangled and handing it to another person in a shape they can hold, a decision they can make, a number they can act on. Here's why it reads as authority. When a meeting feels foggy, everyone in that room is carrying a small, low-grade worry. They don't know what's being decided, they don't know what's expected of them. Then one person cuts through and says in plain words, "Right, the decision we're making today is," and the whole room settles. The brain quietly rewards the person who cleared the fog. Marcus Aurelius used to write reminders to himself to see things as they actually are, with the noise stripped off. Seneca prized and applauded speech that was plain and true over speech that was clever. 2,000 years later, it's still the same currency. The person who sees clearly and speaks plainly runs the room. I coached a woman last year, call her Janette, one of the sharpest operators in our company. I watched a recording of her leading a team meeting, and I saw it in about 90 seconds. She knew everything, and she made nothing clear. Every point wrapped in 3 caveats, conflated, and more words and ideas added to the point that just confused me. By the time she reached her actual recommendation, the room had drifted too. We changed one habit, and 6 weeks later, her director called her suddenly very impressive. Same person he'd overlooked for 2 years. All she changed was getting out of her own way. Here's the habit. Part 2, the formula for giving clarity. Step 1, lead with the answer, then explain. Most experts do the reverse. They build the case brick by brick and save the conclusion for the end, because that's how they worked it out in their own head. The room wants the answer first, then the reasons. Your working can wait. Walk in and say, "My recommendation is we delay the launch by 2 weeks. Here's why." You've just done in one sentence what most people take 5 minutes to circle. If the room is unsure, use the XYZ framework. We are here to discuss X because Y is costing us Z. Then go on to "my recommendation is," etc. Step 2, name the one thing that matters. Before you speak, ask yourself, what's the single decision or number this really comes down to? Lead with that. If you can't say it in one sentence, you're not ready to say it at all. Step 3, get specific. Soon is unclear. By Thursday is clear. A lot of customers is unclear. Around 40,000 customers is clearer. Concrete detail is what people remember and trust. So trade every vague word for a specific one. Step 4, framing. This is the one that does the heavy lifting. It's the same fact told 2 ways, and it lands completely differently. Say I want 300,000 to upgrade our platform. I could walk in and ask, "Can I have 300 grand for a platform upgrade?" Watch the finance director's face close. It's a cost. It sounds like your pet project, and it's an easy no. Or I can ask, "Can we afford to lose £3 million when our platform crashes during the Christmas peak?" Now that 300 grand looks tiny next to the 3 million I'm helping them avoid. We feel a loss about twice as hard as we feel the same size of gain. Kahneman proved it decades ago. So point at what they stand to lose. And the same request suddenly feels urgent. Part 3, lead with questions, not answers. Now, the move that quietly makes you the most senior voice in the room. The person who asks the sharpest question controls the conversation more than the person who gives the best answer. Give an answer and you're one of several people offering answers. Ask the right question and you set the terms everyone else has to work inside. You become the person the room turns to, even on a subject you know less about than anyone else. So drop the urge to prove you're right. When someone pushes back, the instinct is to defend and pile on more evidence until you win the point. It rarely works and it makes you look junior. Try this instead. Ask them, what would need to be true for you to agree with me? Sit with that for a second. It makes them do the thinking. It surfaces the real objection, the one they hadn't said out loud. And best of all, it turns a fight into a problem the two of you are solving together. You've gone from arguing to leading, and you never raised your voice. One more. When a discussion gets messy, be the person who says it plainly. So, the decision we're actually making is whether to do this or this. Is that fair? Whoever names the decision owns the decision. That's you now. So that's the skill, what clarity is, how to give it, and how to use questions to lead a room you don't even run. Do those, and people start reaching for that word you've been chasing, presence. Here's your one thing to do tomorrow. In your next meeting, before you say anything else, open with one plain sentence that names the decision on the table. Just one. Then watch the room turn towards you. If you want to see exactly where your own visibility is leaking right now, I built a free diagnostic assessment at OVD Labs. A few minutes and it shows you the single gap costing your career right now. The link's below. And when you're ready for the full playbook, they're all in the shop. I'll see you in the next one.